a seat to the bar and join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tansen, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 10.6, Darn Me Unto Heck, where we are covering the novel Death Masks. My name is Tansen, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 7. Dresden and the Knights meet back at St. Mary's of the Angels Cathedral, where he gets to know a bit about the newest knight, Sanya. Michael asks Harry not to get involved and warns him he's in great danger with the Fallen and the Order of the Blackened Denarius. So Harry and Michael arrive at St. Mary's of the Angels Cathedral. Father Forthill greets them.
Big old Gothic church.
It was all dressed in black, and it mopes a lot.
Wait, you talking about Fort Hill or the church?
It's a Gothic church, right?
Just so happens that priests also dress all in black and mope a lot.
Listens to a lot of Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah, so briefly we get to see, we only saw him briefly before. We get to see him again briefly. But yeah, Fort Hill lets him in. And he asks, so obviously he kind of knew they were going. So I don't know if it's just that, because Harry says, "How'd you find me?" And Michael's just like, "Oh, good advice." And Harry's like, "Well, that could mean anything from they were driving past and saw my car to like a choir of heavenly angels, told them, right?" So were they over, like...
Or a burning bush.
Or a burning bush. Did Fort Hill send them? Are they staying at Fort... Like, how does he sort of know what's going on? Because he obviously knows they went out, because they come back, and he's like, "Success?" And Michael's like, "Yeah, sort of." So you're like, were you guys just, like, hanging out here earlier? Is this where, like, Shiro and Sanya are, like, staying? Or, like... But, whatever. So he gives him the coin that's all wrapped up in the... Not magic hanky, the, holy hanky. It's a blessed hanky.
Like Swiss cheese holes in it. That's what I think of, the holy hanky.
The blessed hanky.
That's not very effective. Like, you just blow your nose and it just goes straight out. Yeah.
It's not good for holding coins either. This is why so many of them keep ending up back. Church is like,
we've solved the problem here.
Maybe we need to
change your hanky.
Maybe we need to receive these holy hankies. Well, yes, sir. I had intended it to be the... holy kind of hanky, not the full of holes kind.
It's like a really bad Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Right? It's like,
they cut that one.
It's like you really should have been more clear in your report there, Deacon. This people, this is why spelling matters. So he gives him the coin to put away. Lock it up in the cask or whatever. They figure they'll go splint Sanya's broken arm. And he's like all very stoic about it. Like, I can't remember if Shiro just like helps him up in the alley or if he actually kind of like sets it, or no, he puts his coat back on or something like that without making any sounds, with his like broken arm. And it's all very stoic and Russian.
He like helps Dresden up even though he's the one with the broken arm.
Yeah, presumably not the same arm. I did imagine he used his other arm for that.
It's Sanya's so cool. He
Climb
can
up
do
the like
it.
rope. Sanya's just that top where he's like here. Pull you big
I'm not using it now.
You may be 7 foot tall American giants, but I am Russian.
we had a guest on, Michael, and like first time he read the books, he like obsessed with Sanya immediately. I like woke up to a ton of love Sanya. Oh my god, love Sanya. Oh my god, my first tattoo is gonna be a Sanya quote. It was like,
well, at least just a quote, not Sanya.
well, yeah. But yeah,
And then
so
you
I'm
have to
like-
tell me like, oh, sorry, he never comes back.
Yeah, he dies in this book. Sorry.
So
oh well.
sad. So sad.
Like throwing all the books out right then.
Fuck this shit.
Abandoned it then.
Shit like that always makes me think of the frick, was it Tim Hortons? I don't remember for sure. But
Whoa! Now people are gonna know what country we're in.
oops. Oh no. Better avoid talking about places like Banff. But it was something like that, but this guy's like down there and he was like, the woman's just like, oh, you're from Canada? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, do you know George? And he's like, oh yeah, Office George. Yeah. He died. And I just like, I always think of that now. What is that? It was a few years back, and I'll have to look it up and confirm if it was actually Tim Hortons, but it's basically, yeah, like this guy's visit, like in an American office or something. That whole typical, like, oh, you're from Canada? Do you know so-and-so? Like, we all know.
I don't know Jimmy or Sally or Steve, but I'm sure they're nice people.
Yeah.
you
Most
know-
Canadian ad.
You,
But it's like this
people do that, but what's funny is that I had one friend from Arizona that went to go to Thailand to teach. And then I had
God.
another friend from here who also went to Thailand to teach, and they met each other. And they were like, do you know Tanzan?
Oh my
She
God,
goes, actually, I do. So,
okay, yes.
so it happens.
It does, but those are the exceptions to the rule.
But now, what would have been really funny if one of them said to the other one, "Yeah, she died." Don't worry.
But yeah.
When Tanzan dies, when Mom dies, I will announce it on the podcast.
But it'll be really loud and scratchy, and nobody will be able to hear over the distortion.
She'll be too busy laughing. So, guys. Oh my god, no, seriously, okay, no, this is like the worst. I mean it, but. Okay, so you know all those times I like threatened to kill my mom? Okay, don't actually call the cops. It wasn't really me this time.
Turns out I don't have to follow through anymore.
If I was going to start killing off parents, I'd choose one that was going to leave me an inheritance, first of all.
So you are going to let Daddy Two adopt you?
I'm in his will either way. The adoption
There's
is
that
kind of
much
useless.
more in the will if there's like a legal claim to it.
Who does this recording studio equipment go to?
If both of you are dead, me, obviously. I'm using it. I have to come and announce how you died.
We'll send it to
The whole pod just becomes just you talking about yourself instead of the actual Dresden files.
I'll bring up Dresden every now and again, but, you know.
But this is how it relates to me.
when it really, yeah. So this one time I went to like a pottery thing and all I made was a plate full of Dresden quotes, and then this other time I went like,
Yeah, so far true stories, so far relatable to the podcast. The Discord said they wouldn't mind if I just spoke about myself, so you two better watch it, okay?
I think that was just for the hiatus, not like in perpetuum, no, in perpetuity.
There's only one way to find out.
They're just like, what the fuck is she gonna say next? Dear God.
I say you leave all the recording equipment to that fancy smut author, Rain Gem, and she can have it all.
Leave my sister out of this.
But then just doesn't get it. So apparently Sanya helps Dresden up with his broken arm, and then they drive all the way to Father Forthill, and he decides to set it for him. But yeah, he doesn't really give him the most complimentary greeting either. He's like, hey, Father. He's like, you look like my day so far. I'm like, well, considering we know what your day just went through, how bad does Father Forthill look?
And especially because, like, he describes him in that moment as just wearing, like, black shirt, black pants, like a man in his late 50s. Like, that's not particularly old. And normally he's described like he's, like, Friar Tuck or something like that. And, like,
Well,
just
not
walking around in,
quite,
like,
but-
a fucking, like, robe bag all the time.
Now I will never not be able to imagine him without like the Friar Tuck hair.
I've always just imagined Friar Tuck thus far. This is the first time I have an image of just a regular guy.
Oh, no, I don't go so far. I honestly kind of imagine him somewhat like a priest I actually used to know. Like, the one that married me. I'm not like, but yeah.
So you hate Friar Tuck. Or, I mean, you hate Friar Forthill.
No, I like Father Forthill. There's nothing wrong with the priest. It wasn't his fault. It's okay. He's dead now, too. But no, I did. Well, I sort of.
She killed everyone who attended the wedding. You should have stopped this.
Sad. Remember, there's only one person from that wedding I need to kill, and sadly, he's still alive. So it really wouldn't have been much point in offing everyone else.
I'm gonna have to.
I was at that wedding.
Edit this out, aren't I? Get rid of the evidence.
Right. But no, I don't. So every time he describes him and mentions that he's kind of like balding with the fringe, I think of the sort of Friar Tuck fringe. But after that, I sort of forget about it again, and I don't specifically picture him that way every time. But yeah, I can't do entirely Father Tuck because he's not that portly, and Friar Tuck to me has to have the big brown monk's robe, but he's not a monk. So
Yeah, that's what I've always imagined up till now.
you're wrong.
So, like,
anyways,
Michael goes to call his wife, and Shiro goes to go make sandwiches, and then we just get Sanya and Harry here together.
And oh my God,
it's like
it's the best.
conversation
I
in the
know.
entire world.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if Sanya's still trying to be all because he's like, I'll go help with the food. And Shiro's like, sit the fuck down. Like, Jesus Christ.
Just stop.
Just, you know, he's like, I may be older, but you have a fucking broken arm. Like, I'll make sandwiches, okay?
So,
Yes, we all know you're tough. Just stop.
yeah, all right.
I don't know if you're aware of who Kevin Bridges is, but there's like a really funny like quote from him or whatever like that, where he's like on a British panel show or whatever like that, and he's trying to say,
maybe
he's
that's
like,
why.
so I'm in Bulgaria, and the Bulgarian is like trying to speak English to me, and I'm a Welshman trying to speak English to him. I always think of just this moment between like Harry and Sanya where it's just like, so I'm in the supernatural world trying to say I'm not good with the supernatural, and the other guy's like, I'm in the supernatural world trying to say I don't believe in the supernatural. I'm like,
All right.
it's two idiots.
Yeah, Sanya asks about Dresden and assumes he's a Wiccan, and Dresden corrects him. Wicca is a religion. It's a little more fluid than most, but it's still a religion. And I'm not really big on religion. I do magic, sure, but it's like being a mechanic or an engineer. There are forces that behave a certain way. If you know what you're doing, you can get them to work for you, and you don't really need a god or goddess or whatever to get involved. So we get a good overview of what his belief system is, kind of.
Yeah, how he views it as that, yeah, it's not mystical in a theological type of way. It's just as mystical as, you know, an engineer is to people who don't understand physics. But it's like, but if you do understand it. But yeah, it's just the whole way this starts is just very cute, right? Because he's like, he's like, oh, you use the forces of magic. And Dresden's like, oh, what gave you away? And he's like, okay, so like, how long have you been a Wiccan? He's like, what? And he's like, a witch. He's like, I'm not a witch. He's like, I'm a wizard. And he's like, what's the difference?
Wizard has a Z.
You know, it's just like right there, the options that you're like,
And just how stone-faced Sanya is just like, bitch.
right? Like, you just know this is going to be like, oh, this is a good conversation. Like, you know, and Harry's like, oh, no one appreciates me.
Then you get that whole line from Dresden where he's all like, I wouldn't burden any decent system of faith by participating in it, which is excellent.
Right, which is also very cute. Like, yeah, again, right? So he's like, oh, yeah, this is, and then he's like, and then, but this is where it gets so brilliant.
Insane. It gets insane.
It's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, me too. He's like, wait, what?
I have been an atheist since childhood.
Wait, what?
You know you're a Knight of the Cross, right?
Yeah, so.
And then I like how, like, he's very, like, apprehensive to be like, okay, I guess some people could say I'm agnostic then. It's like, bro.
Yeah, I know. He's like,
Some people?
right. Well, even then, he's like, so you go around and like risk your life to save people because, and he's like, because it needs to be done. It's just the right thing to do, you know. He's like, some people have to sacrifice for keep the community safe, and he's like, so you became a Knight of the Cross because you were a communist? He's like, no.
Certainly not. Trust me. Very different.
So different. That is not what I was saying at all. So it's like, well, if you can, like, throw the distinction out between, like, a witch and a wizard is not the same, then I'm like communism is not that.
I read that part and I was like, I actually went and did, I took a poli-sci, intro to poli-sci class in university.
It's okay, just for half a second.
I couldn't remember it at
polygraph,
all. Oh, polygraph, yes. I took a lie detection test. I failed.
Send her back to Canada.
Are you communist? No.
Do you really know Office George?
Doesn't matter. He's dead.
But I did have to look it up. I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all. Basically, it means it's for the good of, like, Trotsky is the theory of permanent revolution, where you have to overthrow feudalism.
No.
And with the and help the peasants.
Right?
Yep.
That doesn't sound Russian. That sounds French.
Yeah, it's all about the Russian working class, which is totally like...
Which is,
you go over what he's saying.
You know, I mean, like you say...
For the help of your brothers.
Which, like you say, when you look at it from a very broad spectrum or whatever, it does sound a lot like what he's talking about. Like, wait, because you're a commune? Like, that was supposed to be the whole thing, was, like, everything for the good of the people, you know? It was like, nobody's better than the others. Let's just all have, and... But yeah, it was just so funny. He's like, no.
It's more on the overthrowing part, though. It's much more like, overthrow the government, because they suck.
Right. And as soon as we establish that we're a government that overthrew, you'll have to overthrow us in order to... and so on and so forth.
I like how it goes back and forth, though, where Harry literally being like, you literally cannot be agnostic. Your fucking boss. Like, an archangel gave you the sword. Your boss is God. How can you be? And he's, like, holding back giggles this whole time. And I like how, like, it finally just gets to the point where it's just, like... Sanya's like, well, like, I don't technically know that I just fought a monster or got a sword from an archangel. For all we know, this is all just a hallucination.
Yeah, I know. Because Harry keeps trying to bring it in. He's like, okay, so, like, but your sword. And he's like, yeah, you know, like, acknowledges that there's something more. And he's like, well, where did you get it? And he's like, Michael. So, like, I don't remember running off to Russia. And he's like, and again, even Sanya's like, not that Michael. He, like, points up, right? And he's like, that Michael, right? And Dresden's like, so you have... a sword wrought from a nail of the cross.
Oh, you believe it's in the sky?
From an archangel. But, you know, and yeah, he's like, maybe best you could say, like, agnostic, right? And it's fucking hilarious. And he's like, yeah, so then he's like, what do you mean you don't believe in, and I love, too, how he, like, explains it. And I'm like, it's just such a nice way to do it, because I'm like, obviously you gotta throw it in there for anybody that doesn't know the difference between atheist and agnostic and whatever, and I was like, yeah, I know what it means, but it was just like great. It's like a good way. It's like you get the explanation without having to be like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's like, I wasn't questioning what it was. He's like, I'm just still can't understand that you think you are.
But Sanya is like,
and then he's just like, well,
like he'd prefer that he's maybe mad.
Yeah,
than to say he believes in God.
He's like, maybe I'm just crazy. Yeah, it's like, no, it's just a hallucination. He's like, maybe he's like fucking
stubborn.
Yeah, he's like, something supernatural like just broke your fucking arm, and you're still like, I don't know, maybe. Is there any proof?
So listen, as a Catholic, I can understand why a lot of those stories make you think that it might just be easier to say you're mad. But
shush you. You were like barely even raised Catholic. Like, how can you even?
I know, that's why I'm able to see that it's batshit. I'm far enough removed to see that the stories don't make sense.
Gotcha. That's why it's called faith.
Are they allegories?
But yeah, but this is Sanya's same thing too, right? And he's like, well, you just said yourself, it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't need a god or a goddess or any sort of, you know, religious, theological. And Harry's like, yeah, I'm not saying I don't believe. He's like, I'm just nonpartisan. He's
non-participation.
Like, yeah, he's like, I believe that God is here and there's an archangel, not, you know, he's like, I just don't think I need that too. And yeah, there's this and there's, like you say, Butcher's whole world of various, you know, mythologies and theologies and whatever, right? So it's like, I do again kind of like appreciate that. Like, Harry's like, well, I didn't say there wasn't. Like, I didn't say I don't belong to a religion because I don't believe in one. He's like, I just don't choose to side specifically with one. Like, I just don't follow any. He's like, but I still think, like, there's friggin' religions out there. Like, and he's like, semantics.
Whatever.
And it was just, yeah.
Because Shira comes with food, and Sanya takes some and walks away. And
I was gonna say, Dresden finally gives up on that. Like, he's trying to hold it through this whole conversation. We finally, he's like, maybe I'm just crazy. And then Dresden's just like, fucking like, okay. And then he just like bursts out laughing. He's like, okay, whatever, I'm done.
So Dresden starts talking to Shiro about it and is like, I don't get why he would be recruited as a Knight of the Cross, which Shiro's answer is just fabulous. Like, man sees faces, sees skin, flags, membership lists, files. Mm-hmm. He took another large bite and ate it and said, God sees hearts. Okay.
Fair enough.
So it doesn't really matter what Sanya actually believes in. He's just, his
and I really
heart
like
is in
that
the right
too,
place.
because that means that I can continue to not go to church and stuff. God can still be like, it's fine, bro, you're good. Come on in.
Except for that whole matricide thing.
Oh, well, sure, yeah, no. But until I do it, he still has to let me in.
And you know why? Because I had you baptized. Only reason.
Woo!
You also are going around like saving people's lives. That probably counterbalances a lot of like snarky bad attitude. When you know, I'm like, you're just snarky bad attitude without going around saving people's lives. So you know.
Oh shoot! I knew there was something on that to-do list.
Yeah. That's why But yeah, it's cute here too, right? Because he's like, exactly. He's like, oh, God sees, exactly what's inside of a person, right? And Harry's like, if you say so. And then he's like, so then Shiro's like, oh, so you're looking for the shroud? And he's like, oh, that's confidential. If you say so.
Can dish it out.
Right? It's like every fucking time, Harry. You're like... So yeah, so then he wants to know why. And he's like, he's like, well, I'm not saying that I am, but if I was, it would be because someone hired me. He's like, oh, it's your job. He's like, yeah, you do it for the money. He's like, yeah. He's like, huh. He's like, do you love money then, Mr. Dresden? I used to think I loved it. Now I realize that it's just dependency. Right there with ya.
Such an idiot.
Well, but it's so funny because that's the thing that everybody always, they're like, oh, love of money is the root of all evil. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the actual quote is, money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. So it's like, yes, we, that's how we, for time immemorial, we have, based a lot of our commerce on some form of monetary exchange or currency or whatever, right? And it's like, not that you can't, like, yeah, you need money to live, but it's like when you start putting that above all else, that's where you get into, exactly where you get the crazy psycho billionaires of the world that don't give a shit about what happens to anything else. It's all about, the money and the power and stuff like that, right? So it's just cute, I was like, oh, so you love money, and he's like, no, I don't actually love it. He's like, I just, I've come to realize it's just dependency. And I'm like, right? I'm like, I don't actually love money all that much, but man, it has its uses.
So eventually Michael comes back in and they get on track again about what's actually going on, and Harry finally gets his answers. And, it essentially comes down to the fact that, the Fallen have this group of, badasses, especially fallen guys that are running around essentially trying to undo all of the church's work. Essentially just like they're...
Are these like the country club fallen? They're we're just a little bit higher than the rest of you. It's like we have like our own little membership thing going on
Inner
here.
circle.
You guys are the community college fallen, and we're like the private school fallen.
Yeah, if you don't have the little pin, I'm sorry.
And essentially Michael's like, listen, love me if I'm a good friend to you, done a lot of shit for you, pay me back this one time, go the fuck away. Don't be involved. Go away. Which is obviously, number one bait to Harry to tell someone to get fucked. Love you, Michael.
You're going to tell me what to do? I don't think so.
No. Dislike that.
Yeah, he does not want to comply with that request whatsoever.
No. Well, that's the thing, because he's like, again, as soon as you tell me no, then I'm going to be that much more interested. But, again, they sort of danced around it, too, and he's like, oh, you don't want my help? And Michael's like, well, I want your safety. He's like, you're in great danger, and he's like, dude, I know how to handle myself. And he's like tonight, he almost died, and yeah, and here's where he's like, yeah, whatever, so fine, if you guys hadn't been there, sure, I would have been dead, but whatever, that's
he's also a little bit of I'm gonna die one day, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? He's like, that's gonna be the thing, so he's like... and then here's, I guess, where they get more into the whole, he didn't come to kill you, he came to recruit you kind of a thing. And
then you get this absolute amazing moment when Harry's like, but if they did make me that offer, I could definitely beat Ortega. And I love how how fast he's like, well, okay, they're not gonna get me, but they could well, okay, wait a second now. And I love that instant shift where Michael's like, dude,
right?
that's what the fuck I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. He's
like instantly proves it, how tempting it is, and he hasn't even been given the offer yet.
Exactly. As he's denying that they could tempt him, he is wandering down a fantasy world of what he could do with that power, right? And it is very, and that's the thing, is that Michael is like,
I know you, man. I know you.
Yeah, and he's like, I know you're a good man. I trust you with my life, like we've done, but this is it. Like, you don't, like, again, he's like, they're not just here to kill you. They're, well, whatever, I've been tempted before. And
if you think those wolf belts are bad, this is
exactly.
Right,
And
we saw the addiction there.
Yeah, even just that one instant where Harry's like, oh, I can see how you can get used to this kind of a thing, right?
Even before that, the 3-eye drug replicating the sight, right? Like that in and of itself had become addicting to the...
Yes, but that wasn't Harry's temptation or anything
No,
like that.
but it's still Harry has his own third eye outside of the drug, right?
Well, yes.
Seeing good things all the time.
Yes, but that's the thing, is I think Harry, having been trained in that, at least he understands. He knows sort of more both sides of it, whereas, again, the Joe Blows that have no idea.
Or vampire spit.
You don't
He's
know.
already like, I want to get at that.
The vampire spit would be...
So we see him struggle with temptation.
And Michael is one of the people who viewed his soul. Still wants to be his friend, still loves him, still has a good spot
Michael
for Harry.
insisted upon it on their first meeting, right?
So, but that doesn't, whatever Michael saw, it wasn't enough to condemn Harry and say, like, oh, this guy is bad news. But it was enough to make Michael wary of Harry for unknown reasons.
Well,
right?
he's like, again, like Sanya or whatever here, like, yeah, I know you're basically a good man. Like, obviously Sanya's like not pious or religious or, but it's like, okay, there's something to you that you're willing to fight the good fight. And yeah, Michael's like, I can see that. But again, he's fully aware of that there could be that dark path that Harry could take or whatever too, that. And, I just... He has a point, and I think we're all like that a lot, right? We all are like, oh, I can handle temptation, like, and I'm like, sure, like you say, if somebody suddenly walked up to my door with, like, a trunk full of, like, guns and drugs, and were like, hey, I'd probably be like, no, right? But it's, like, those smaller things that, I'm like, yeah, sure, that's big, that's obvious, this is, like, ooh, that would be, like, I would totally get caught in 5 seconds. Like, no, you don't.
The nice thing about the Denarians is that they've got the time to just slowly.
But this is the thing, right? It's that,
long game,
like you say, it's that nobody, most of the time, walks up to you with a giant trunk of, like, guns and drugs and stuff like that. It's that one time you try this, or this one time you do that, or that one time you're like... your friend is like, oh, whatever, it's like a $2 lipstick, it's like, they don't matter, it doesn't matter, stuff gets broke, and you know what I mean, and again, it starts with, oh, those little teeny tiny, like, oh, I forgot to pay for this, or, oh, a shoplift there, or I just won't tell my mom I'm going away for the weekend, and she'll never know, and, and whatever, and before you know it, it's...
Disappear for 4 days, not tell anybody.
Right?
Does it count as disappearing when nobody noticed?
No, but you lied about it one night. I'd be like, where are you? And you were like, I'm just in my room. Leave me alone.
If I can lie about being in my bedroom when I'm not there, that's on you.
Has anyone who has ever lived with a cranky teenager know? He's
just saying, you seem to put a lot of blame on me. I had a good weekend.
But, you get away with it once, then you try and get away with something else, right? So that's the thing. It's like, yeah, all of us sort of forget about those small things that build up to big things. But yeah, so while he's saying, like, whatever, okay, and it's like, it's not going to smack you in the face. It's not going to be obvious, and yeah, he's sitting there thinking about exactly all the shit that he could suddenly deal with right now. It's like, well, gee, if I could be a big scary-ass bear, fuck Ortega. And, yeah.
I do like how at the end of the chapter, Harry's, like, listing off everything, right? And it's like, there's the missing shroud, there's the dead corpse, there's the vampire warlord, now the knights are mad at me, and they've got their whole fallen angel bullshit. And then there's me in the corner all by myself right now, because everyone's mad at me for helping everybody else. Oh, and also I'm about to get dumped.
Pear tree.
Yeah. And I'm gonna get dumped.
Right. We also find out that Father Vincent's a little bit duplicitous, just a tiny bit.
Right, yeah, tack that on.
Because Father Forthill was like, no, do not go to him, and goes to him anyway.
Yeah, exactly, because he's like, well, why did Father Vincent come hire me then? And he's like, well, he told him not to.
We explicitly said don't hire the supernatural cop who's really good at being a private investigator. Yeah. And then he called you immediately. What the fuck?
Why give him the information at all?
Right, like... I don't
Right.
think Vincent is the kind of man to go looking in the phone book for wizard. Like,
Well, yeah. I'm like, again,
I know, reputation precedes Harry, but to Rome?
Yeah, well, exactly, right? But that's what it is, and we know that's where, because back when, he's like, I want to talk to you, like, when they're walking to the car before they get shot at, he, like, flips out his little notebook or whatever, and he's like, Father Forthill at St. Mary's said I should talk to you or whatever, right? So, yeah, obviously, he didn't stumble across him in the phone book or whatever. It's like, again, as we sort of touched a little bit on that, I'm like, the actual Catholic Church does or did at one point, I guess depending who you are within the church, believe in demons and exorcisms and that kind of a thing, right? So, yeah, it makes a certain amount of sense that you're in this part of the world, go talk to your contact, again, right? Like, I'm in Chicago, let me go hit up some churches and find out, who has their finger on the pulse of the supernatural world or whatever, right? So Forthill's like, yeah, we got a guy, but you really shouldn't be dragging him into it at this point. And he still goes ahead and drags him into it, and even Michael tries playing a little bit of the I don't know, it's trying to guilt, it's so hard to say, because with Michael, I would say he never tries to guilt anybody into anything, but I mean, even Michael's like, I'm not perfect, but he's like, you're my friend, you saved my life, he's like, I've named a child for you, and it was like, Jessica was like, how long are you going to throw that in his face or whatever, and I was like, that was like a lifelong thing, you know what I mean, like, why would you name a child, other than, it's like, okay, you saved my life that one time, so then I named my child after you, and now I can bring that up forever for the rest of my life, that, like, okay, yeah, sure, you saved my life, we do that back and forth all the time, but I have a child, like, that's like gotta be like 10 times more.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Like, every time Harry tries to do something now, and Michael's just like, kid, Harry Jr. And Harry's like, fuck!
Literally, like, do you want to get McDonald's or A&W? A&W. Well, I'm really craving a Big Mac. I did name my kid after you. Do you really need a paper crown? My son wants McDonald's fries. You're going to tell him no?
Right. Harry's like, Burger King, I miss you.
Right. That's what it's Burger King, not A&W.
Yes, Burger King with the paper crown, yeah.
I don't know my restaurants very well.
Apparently you don't. Goddamn celiac disease. This ruined your entire life. So, yeah. So then basically, yeah, Michael says, he's like, I'll basically have to protect you from, he's like, okay, well, what if I don't? And then Harry's like, I love you dearly, but I will sit on you and make you stay if that's the only way for keeping you. Like, I will protect you from yourself if you won't protect yourself.
Dramatic walkout.
And, yeah, a little bit.
I turned and left without saying goodbye. All right, bitch.
You don't really expect Michael to, like, say anything like that. Like, kind of like, whoa, he means business.
And
like,
this is the thing, right?
He just pulled out, like, the
But
big
to
threat.
be fair, like, what's Michael supposed to do if Harry does fall in line with the Fallen, right? Like,
again, Michael,
it's my job to stop the Fallen. That's like literally like
number one priority.
Number one priority. Yeah, every now and again, God has me go deal with a vampire or something, but I'm actually here specifically for the religion side of things. The religion side of things is the Fallen, like
right. There was like God and these angels, and then there was like these fallen angels. So.
3 knights and 30 denarians. That's our fucking.
Yeah, we get like a 10-to-1 ratio on any given,
I spend a lot of time at vampire masquerade balls, man. Can you just do me this one thing?
Right.
Don't make my life harder than it is. Don't be one of my enemies.
Well, and not only that, but just again, like the safety for safety, is that he is his
safe,
right?
exactly,
and he's like, I don't want you getting in over your head. I don't want this to be more than you can deal with.
It's tempting to any mortal man, and they're specifically trying to tempt you right now.
Yeah, and even that aside, again, I'm like, even if you can be like, oh, I won't get tempted, it's like, then they will kill you, and I don't want you to just die either. So, like, either way, there's no win in this situation,
And to that
Michael's
point,
just like, please.
You gotta wonder, like, what did the Denarians know? Why do they want Harry, right? Like, what is it? They just heard they started a vampire war, and they're like, that's cool. He sounds like one of us. Or does it go deeper than that?
Well, and that's the thing, like you say, his reputation is spreading and that. So, I mean, we've gotten little hints, little drips and dribbles all the way along when somebody's like, oh, Harry, like, oh, well, you know what he was meant to be. And it's like, wait, what? No, what was I? What? We can't, right? So there's all these other players out there, whether it's like Chauncey the Demon or like the fairies or like other wizards, where obviously other people have, if they don't know, they at least have a lot of, opinions or whatever that Harry was meant. So again, yeah, what did the Denarians know that these, what I mean? What did they know about this?
Because the Denarians are rooting for Harry outside of the Shroud, right? Like, even though it's connected to them, this is a whole separate thing, right? So how are they dragging Harry into this, right? And why?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, and so, yeah, they're like, what prophetic whatevers, do they know about Harry that make him just that much more enticing, other than the fact of just being, like, a powerful wizard who has sort of cut corners a couple of times and therefore might be willing to cross a few more lines. Mm. And, yeah, he's going to get dumped by his girlfriend.
I have a question about that line, because he's like, about to get dumped by his would-be girlfriend for John Q. Does anyone understand the John Q reference? I tried to look that up to see if I could find something, and I'm like, the best I could find is, like, there's a movie that's called John Q. And it's where John Quincy Archibald takes a hospital emergency, or an emergency room hostage when his insurance won't cover his son's heart transplant. Is the best that I could find, but I was like, that sounds not really related.
John Q is like the same thing as John Doe.
Joe Blow.
It's just like John Doe, John Q.
Yeah.
It's just like the same thing. Like,
I think it's more
I've just never heard
placeholder.
it that way.
Yeah.
Before. Okay.
Yeah, like Susie Q and Mary Jane and all that. Yeah, it's basically, I think it's just like Joe Blow hummed, some boring schmuck that, John Smith.
I thought it was a little more specific than
yeah,
that.
no,
Okay,
I don't.
okay.
I think it's, I was taking it just as the very is,
I just not know.
just some
Mr.
random
Nobody.
schmuck.
Random schmuck.
Pedantic
cellophane
Avenger.
man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don Q with Nixon. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Quixote?
Don Quixote is not what I'm trying to say.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because that would have been very wrong.
What are you trying to come up with?
Is that pronounced Quixote?
Yes.
Oh. That is what I'm trying to pronounce.
Oh my.
Okay, I've been hinting for the next chapter to start for a while now. Let's go.
Yep.
That's a dumb way to pronounce
As
that
Harry
word.
says. Oh yeah. Definitely bedtime.
This concludes our episode 10.6, Darn Me Unto Heck. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts and social media and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.